Hello guys and gals, welcome back to another episode of Creepypastas. Yes, from time to time we take a look away from the gaming side of Creepypastas to look at them as a whole. Some of our favorite Creepypastas have actually been non-gaming Creepypastas. That being said, we're going to take a look at August 2013 Creepypasta of the month. I know it's been a long time and I'm catching up. The community has chosen. The SOG community has picked their favorite Creepypastas and I do have to do them. This is Hanging Gardens. It's based on a song called Hanging Gardens by a metal band called Cormorant. Basically, this creepypasta is sort of the first audio song pasta we've ever sort of done. It's basically the lyrics of the song, and they've basically been turned into a story. Now, is it a creepy tale? Is it not a creepy tale? Let's go find out. But, you know, you've all picked it. I'm going to do it. That's how the system works. That being said, let's get into Hanging Gardens. They say that these woodlands contain the path to paradise itself. It's been a long way to reach these mythical gardens. My knees are scraped and bloodied from the various thorns nipping at my legs along the path. Snakes and sirens were attempting to seduce me with their hypocrisy, but I refused to heed their calling. I was a pure at heart, unspoiled by all temptation and evil. My path was blocked as something was swaying back and forth from a tree. I looked at it closely. I could make out a face with long black hair and some dark-colored stubble leading down its chin. Its head was cast down with closed eyes. It was a dead man hanging from a tree. I walked closer to it in disbelief and fear. What would a hanged man be doing here on the trail to heaven? I looked at its face when it suddenly jerked its head up towards me. I jumped back in shock. The man opened his eyes, blank and pitiless before they focused themselves on me. He opened his mouth to speak. Quiet and choked, he whispered this: "Perfection is the great abyss. Leave now, lest you share my fate, a ghost dangling at heaven's gate." With its warning spoken, the dead man hung idle once more. I tried to speak to him, confused and distraught about what he meant by a punishment, but I got no further response from him. I looked at him in a confused anger. What was there to fear about paradise? I certainly am not on the wrong path, as he had mentioned heaven. I was free of all man's sin and malice. Surely they could let me pass. Maybe the man was a sinner and is being punished for trying to reach grace. Not heeding the deceased man's warning, I started to walk past the hung man, pushing on by curiosity to find out why he would have spoken such a thing. Surely there was nothing to fear. I walked through the sycamores and the bushes. My knees scraped once more from the wild, torturous prickles, feeling something not unlike that of 1,000 tiny quills of a porcupine seeping into my legs. I can only hope that whatever lied at this end of the path would be worth it. I disregarded the serpent's temptations and trickery. I walked past the trees into a clearing and found it at last. The pearl doors. I slowly walked towards them with caution, remembering what the man who spoke to me warned. The doors had a latch, and there was a gate aside them. I held onto the gate and looked through to see the inside of divinity before going inside. The view was marvelous. Inside there were large grass fields, aligned with a graceful night sky. The stars shone brightly around the blue orb that was the earth itself. I looked around and was awestruck at its divine, stunning beauty. I kept looking through and through at its elegance. But one thing troubled me greatly. There was not a single person inside. With a small amount of hesitation, I wrapped my hand around the latch of the doors carefully. I tried opening it, foolishly expecting it to simply open with a gentle pull. But it didn't budge. I tried pulling harder and the door stood firm in utter defiance. I finally pulled with all my might and suddenly fell back to the ground. I looked at my hand. It had the latch inside my palm, but the doors remained unopened. I cursed under my breath and held onto the bars futilely. I tried shaking angrily at the gate and was looking inside, almost sobbing at the fact that paradise was not letting me in. That was when I saw a flash of fire as the gate suddenly began to burn. I screamed in pain and looked at my hands holding the gate, horrifically burned. I ran back into the orchids and found in newfound fear and terror of this hellish heaven. I came across a waterfall and dived in quickly to ease off the pain. I quickly washed my wounds in the water, gagging at the sight of the loose burnt flesh coming out of the water. That was when the screaming began. 1,000 different voices, male and female, of every age and in between, writhing in agony. They were moaning. I looked around and saw many in funeral pall. While others simply hung from the trees, I counted the leaves in one of the trees, the largest, while covering my ears. I then counted the trail of dead bodies and found the two numbers to be matching. All of the different voices were crying for one thing: a second chance. They wanted to escape these woods. I tried covering my ears, but to no avail. They beckoned me to save them, to guide them onto the path of redemption. I backed up and hit the trunk of the tree that I counted off earlier, and something lowered itself down in front of me. An empty noose. With a swift movement, it wrapped itself around my neck suddenly. Its pull was that of a lover's, lifting me mother gently off the ground. It was a soothing feeling, that of which a lover wrapped their arms around your neck. Soon, my legs began to dangle uselessly underneath, no longer standing. I realized that I was on the wrong path to immortality after all. My life started to transmute into all life. The pulling on my neck tightened slightly, and soon all vice and ill thoughts of mankind began to leave me behind as my vision faded into the blackening nothingness. Well, that was quite the music/sound pasta in my opinion, and not a gaming creepypasta, sort of a deep analysis into music lyrics, which is the first time I've ever seen such a thing personally. And I sort of said that at the beginning too, it was based off lyrics of a song. Now, I hope you read the lyrics or at least have them pulled up. If not, pause the video and click the link. Yeah, I know this feels like Hotel Mario the 13th Hotel, but bear with me, alright? Pull the lyrics up, or at least read them beforehand. Now that you're back, hopefully if you read those lyrics beforehand going into the analysis, or at least have them pulled up. As far as those who didn't listen to me, you passed the test. Anyways, all jokes aside, this creepypasta closely analyzes all the lyrics, and as you go through, you can see that it proceeds in order, you know, in the gardens perched on the sky, why should I fear paradise, through the bars I saw fields. Now, is it creepy? You know, it's based off this, you know, lyrics, it has a creepy imagery. Is it creepy? Does it match up to the others in the internet fear department, or its fellow creepypastas? Yes, it does. It does what a creepypasta is meant to do, creep you out. Despite being a shorter affair than usual, it's still built up quite well. But that was most likely due to the song and how it was based on the lyrics, and pretty much how the structure was for the most part it was there. The detail was yet to be enriched further. Now the whole creepypasta was one of the you know, you see the fate in the beginning kind of story, and I half expected it at first, but the whole tale was enticing towards the end, and that's what made the journey amazing. The imagery, though, was the best part of the tale in my opinion. There's not many times I read creepypastas and I can actually picture vividly of what goes on. You know, there's always a couple details for the most part that are missing, but here I could pretty much exactly see what went on, and it's not because of the pictures that were associated on the page, it's because of the, you know, the way it was written, the wording it used, the way it put the images into my head, and that's what makes it great. You know, that's what makes it a great creepypasta, because when you can picture vivid imagery, that is creepy, and it's contextual too. It creeps you out, and that's why I like this creepypasta, because it does creep you out, it unnerves you. Not necessarily because it takes lyrics and makes them into a story. That was already somewhat there, you know, the story and the structure, and the detail is what needed to happen. If I had read the lyrics, I would have gotten the general gist of the tale, but the detail allowed me to picture it and make the whole experience that much more creepier, and for that I have to give Hanging Gardens a thumbs up, both the song and the creepypasta. Can I find any issue with it? Not really. A little short for my taste, but then again, that's all dependent on the content, really. And this creepypasta is full of it, and good content too, and well deserving of its claim of unnerving the reader. Good tale in my honest opinion. What would you change to make it better, and what would you rate this creepypasta? Please let me know in the comments below. This has been another episode of Creepypastas, or Sound Pastas, I guess, I don't know. You pick the title. By the way, if you all were wondering what game I'm playing, this is I Divine Cybermancy. It's an independent game. It's a cyberpunk first-person action-adventure role-playing game. Basically, it's a really fun game, really atmospheric. It's really rough around the edges, but if you give it a chance, trust me, it is one of the best games you will play. I think I'm on my 3rd or 4th playthrough of this game. It's really fun. Give it a chance. A lot of stuff to do. Lots of different variables in this game. But yeah, I'll leave a Steam description in below, just in case you want to check this game out or buy it. Yeah, and if you ever wonder what game I'm playing, I'll always really mention it at the end of the video most of the times, and I'll key it in the beginning, and I'll have it in the description. So yeah, if you like what you saw, like, comment, subscribe. This is me, Mutahar, and I am out.